After 20 years of changing technology and financial deregulation, Australia faces a new age of social inequality. There's a growing underclass of long-term unemployed, creating urban and provincial ghettos. Can the government meet the challenge? Lateline 10:30.
His mother just died. We have to tell him.
They're expecting you to come over.
No. Why should I?
It's our way.
A sudden death forces Ben to reveal the truth.
It's my mother.
Why didn't you tell me?
Vincent discovers vital information.
They've got a dead girl over there. Killed the same way Wilga Carmichael was killed.
You can't be sure there's a connection between the cases, mate.
8:30 Thursday. Heartland.
I'm Nancy Hayes. I've been in some of the world's most famous musicals, including Sweet Charity, 42nd Street, Chicago, Guys and Dolls. But you know, some of my favourite memories come from shows written by Australians. And that's what this show is about. Tonight we're going to sing some of our favourite songs from Australian musicals. Oh, I know what you're thinking. Are there any Australian musicals? You'd better believe it. Come with me. Here in Studio 31, we'll meet Ned Kelly, the Sentimental Bloke, and Lola Montez. We'll take a journey through Manning Clark's History of Australia and head on up to Tamworth with the King of Country. There's comedy, gospel, rock, and romantic ballads.
From white Australia's convict beginnings to the Aboriginal people's dream of a brand new day, tonight's musical celebration salutes the talented composers and lyricists who have set our culture to music.
From distant climes or widespread seas we come, though not with much eclat or beat or drum. True patriots all, for be it understood, we left our country for our country's good. We are they who paved the way, that you might take your ease today. Monsters sent to hell, to make in the desert a living well. To bear the key, to blaze the track, to blaze the stars across our back, to spell the word, to fell the tree. Our nation is because of me. So you can cut your name across my backbone, even eat your Norfolk dumpling, stretch my skin across your drum like a juicy Spanish plum. I'll be up on Pinchcott Island, even dance the new game all night now to Kingdom Come. If you'll only give me room, we are ready to take the way, that you might take your ease today. Monsters sent to hell, to make in the desert a living well. To bear the to blaze the track, to blaze the across our back, to spell the tree. Our nation is because of me.
and the hours will fly in a whirl till our whole sweet day has gone flying and whirling completely away. Be my Saturday girl, and the sun is sure to rise early and go down late, for he'll know I've a long time to wait. Each Sunday to Friday will seem to take ages to go. Then it'll be my day and go like a moment or so. Saturday girl, and it's all I'll ask of the world till you share my life as my Sunday to Saturday wife. She swept me right off my feet quite completely. She said no one but you would propose to me here in the street. Street or town or up or down, it's all the same to me. Please, you've got to tell me what your answer is to be. No, she said, let me repeat, wait and see. Be my Saturday girl, and it's all I'll ask of the world till you share my life as my Sunday to Saturday wife. My Sunday to Saturday
two-room shack. Daddy took his Bowie knife and jug of apple brandy. Mama put on stockings and a red satin gown. What did you Lily do when Daddy went hunting? What did you Lily do when Mama went to town? She rose above it, she rose above it. She rose above it like a comet in the dark. She rose above it, she rose above it. She rose above it like that dog that took the ark. Lady's daddy soon gave up trapping, sat on his stoop with his jug of apple jack. Mama took her red dress off and pinned it on her lady. So long shanty town to past folks all a-staring, came to the house with the rose-colored lamps. What did you Lily do when Mama left her in that parlor? Left her in that parlor full of ginger tramp. She rose above it, she rose above it. She rose above it like the ribbons on a kite. She rose above it, she rose above it. She rose above it like a shoe store at night. She heard a preacher man talking Jesus, singing salvation, and the promise to let started dealing with the devil, put his trust in mama and his hand in the till. And when they found him full of bullet holes and came and told you, lady, she just smiled bravely and said, it's all God's will. I'll rise above it, I'll rise above it, I'll rise above it, and I'll sing it to his grave. She rose above it, far, far above it, far above it, like a woman with souls to save. She rose above it like that white crest on the
It's the dying that matters, how you stand there. Will you die in that hour like a Kelly dies? At sunrise when they take you to the end of all your dreams, put the cap on your head. Show how you, my son, can die. No one ever said goodbye the way our Kelly does. The way our Kelly dies. That's the way I want it said. When you're dead. That shouts your name to the unborn years. Will you look them in the eye with a Kelly's pride? Show how great a man has died. No one ever said goodbye the way our Kelly does. The way I want it told. When I'm old, Ned, tell me, how will you go? Oh, Ned, I want to know. My new like a Kelly dies.
Street, Pinky, where your sons, if you have sons, Ada did. They're dodging policemen before they're in long trousers. They're dirty, they're dark and dingy. That's the houses. The men look mean, the women sad. The brats are whingy. Oh, it's hard making ends meet on Cardigan Street. On Cardigan Street. Making ends meet. Come on. As for your daughters, before their bones are set, your daughters are mothers.
You keep harping about it.
I'm not harping.
You think I was the only woman in the world to ever have a kid without being married?
All I'm saying is that's how things are around here. See what I mean? That'll be the push-up to no good. Half the street's drunk, the other half wishes it was. People are hungry. You know what I mean?
Reckon I do.
Too many of them. Heathen-halved. That's the dogs.
Yeah.
The cats die young, the skin and bone. The rats, even the rats look starved. It's hard making ends meet on Cardigan Street. On Cardigan Street. Making ends meet. Though from what I hear, the rich don't have it so easy either.
Misery ain't choosy who it visits or how long it stays.
Oh, yeah, we don't have it half as hard as the rich do we, Pink?
Oh, wouldn't think so.
Well, Pink, what do you think?
What?
Me backyard. All closed pegs and a cat's got fleas. Look at me. 11 o'clock on a Saturday night and I'm still on me pins.
Well, you should try 7 to 6 at Packers.
It's dirty, it's dark and dingy. Packers factory. Yeah. The hours are long, the money bad. The boss is stingy. Oh, it's hard winning the toss when you got a boss. Well, I ain't got your talent for factory work, so it's the washboard, the clothesline and the mangle for me. Consider the widow, always lifting the lid of the boiling copper, and rub-a-dub-dub with washboard and tubs, scrubbing shirts and making the mangle run proper. All the days are Mondays, Saturdays, Sundays, all of the Mondays, since I started taking in washing, which is what widows do to get by. Flat arms lined up
like soldiers on her stove.
Like soldiers.
Her arms maroon
on me stove.
That's from the heat.
Me arms up to me elbows.
Maroon from the heat.
Well, I'd call them mauve. All the days are Mondays, Saturdays, Sundays, all of them Mondays. But this much is true, hands records blue. Oh, it's hard making ends meet, copping it bitter, never sweet. It's hard making ends meet on Cardigan Street.
Life on the weekend is good, oh, 'cause there's a Bute beach within easy reach on Sunday Arvo. Life on the weekend is good, oh, you lie round and eat, get brown in the heat on Sunday Arvo. There's fishing, boating, swimming and beach games if you care, and lots of luscious women just tempting you to stare. This is the time we've waited for. We don't give a cuss, 'cause this'll do us on Sunday Arvo. All the week we long for Sunday. That's the good old no-good Sunday. Then with our toil all left behind, we can relax and never mind. Hear the band play Gilbert and Sullivan, while all of the blokes and the Sheilas, the Toms and the Spielers make hay. Hey, life on the weekend is good out, 'cause there's a Bute Beach within easy reach on Sunday Harbour. Life on the weekends is good out. You lie round and eat, get brown in the heat on Sunday Harbour. There's fish and boat and swimming and beach games if you care, and lots of luscious women just tempting you to stare. This is the time we've waited for. We don't give a cuss 'cause this will do us on Sunday Harbour.
What's in a name, the poet says. Now he's got something there. A rose by any other name still perfumes all the air, but there's one name so dear to me, spells life and all it means, but no other could I know change places with Doreen's. I dips me lip to you, sweet Doreen. You're the best kid that I've ever seen. I've done me block for you, dimkum I have. You know there's no other Sheila but you, Doreen. Blind me, I loves you, it's true, Doreen. I'll be your bloke if you're one story. I tell you square that me heart feels like singing when I dips me lid to Doreen. Lie me, I loves ya, it's true, Doreen. I'll be your bloke if you want, Doreen. I tell you square that me heart feels like singing when I dips me lid to Doreen. When I dips me lid to Doreen. Trapped in the yellow earth, what should I feel? Sour hate and shallow mirth never come near. Shape me no epitaph, sugar no rhyme. I had a heart to laugh once on a time. Golden my summertime, green was my spring. Fell for the oldest line, country and king. Died in a foreign field, far from my kin. All of my fine ideals cast to the wind. Wild kiss and heavy love lose every hope. Oh, sunlight, sunlight, how dark the cold. Carve me no statue, keep me no shrine. I had a memory. Once on a
I'm sick of this bloody place. I'm getting out of here. And you want to know where I'm going? I'll tell yous. 10 miles from Bergamo, there's a little one-horse town. 10 miles beyond Bergamo as the crow flies, and 10 miles from Bergamo, gonna put my saddle down and never mind the mozzies or the blowflies. I'm going back on the track to Jindiwarrabak, 'cause Jindiwarrabak's the home for me. There's an old-fashioned shack back in Jindiwarrabak, and it's the grandest home in all of Italy. I'm a small-town boy, never meant to be a loner. Don't want to see Perugia, I don't want to see Cremona, and I'll never, ever, ever have to see Verona. Back in Jindiwarrabak, blowing my stack to be back in Jindiwarrabak, even though the pubs all close at 10. Get back the knack, don't be slack, back in Jindiwarrabak, where the girls are women and the boys are all men. Oh, I'm ready for the action at the town All dancers wearing Californian poppy. Gonna take my chances with a girl who's learned the ropes from reading true romances. Back in Jindy Warraback. Jindy Warraback is dusty, Jindy Warraback is windy. Jindy Warraback's off the beaten track, but if you want a shindy then you can't beat Jindy. It's a labour, it's small, but Jindy Warraback is all too free. I've dreamed of, better believe me, I'm going back on the track to Jindy Warraback. I'm back and Jindy Warra win our place. I'll lug me pack on me back to Jindy Warraback, 'cause I'm making Jindy Warraback me hometown base. You can keep your Perugia, you can stuff Cremona, arrivederci Roma, and so long Verona, 'cause I bought a little FJ, only had one owner. 1, 2, 3, 4. Going back to Jindy, not Maggio Menindi. Going back to Jindy, not back to Gundawindi. Going back to Jindy, that's where I went to kindy. Going back to Jindy, to Windy Jindy. Back to Jindy, Jindy Warraback. Jindy, Jindy Warraback.
Jindy Warraback from the Venetian Twins. One of the refreshing things about Australian musicals is the way they appeal directly to our sense of ourselves. Our heroes, our villains, our artists, politicians and poets have all provided material for our musical stages. And although our composers and librettists aren't afraid to tackle classic stories from other cultures, we've chosen tonight to concentrate on songs with a uniquely Australian flavour. And we begin our second half with a song from Darlinghurst Nights, based on Kenneth Slezer's poems of Depression Sydney.
Like black and shining coffin lids, whose fill of flesh long buried here, familiar visiting forbids, but sometimes when their bells are tolled, they show like Hades through the chink, the green and watery gaslight world, where girls wear faces white as zinc, and sometimes thieves go smoothly by, or pad by moonlight home again, for even thieves come home at last, even the thieves of Chokers.
It's a world of leaky canvas, of mud and sodden guy ropes.
A haven for desperates and misfits and crooks
who walk a two-way tightrope from triumph to disaster.
Living on their nerve ends, their lungs, or their looks.
And the art of the profession,
as we like to call our calling,
is phony smiles
and hasty lies
and midnight flits.
But the show goes on,
though Singapore is falling through peritonitis
and the slits.
But once in a blue moon, it's worth all the yakka. That's when you taste the loving car. Year after year, the game's not worth a cracker. Then the moon changes colour and the sky lights up.
Yes, night on end, you've half a mind to chuck it. Stick on your top and give it one more chance. 'Cause maybe tonight you'll catch the lightning in a bucket. If that blue moon shining as you go into your dance.
It's a world of lumpy mattresses,
of bed bugs and mozzies,
railway refreshment rooms,
and brown Windsor soup,
grease paint running off you,
stinking sweaty cozies,
paper thin walls,
and a baby with croup. It's the ingenue who robs you
and runs off with the drummer. It's smiling through the silence
when your best jokes die.
It's hay and hell and boolagoo
and Broken Hill in summer.
A hand-cranked merry-go-round at sixpence a ride. But once in a blue moon, it's worth all the yakka. That's when you taste the loving car. Year after year, the game's not worth a cracker. Then the moon changes colour and the sky lights up. Yes, nights on end, you've half a mind to chuck it. Stick on your top and give it one more chance. And what do you know? You catch the lightning in a bucket for that blue moon shining as you go into your dance. Yes, nights on end, you've half a mind to chuck it. Then comes the night, you see the moon turn blue. And what do you know? You caught the lightning in a bucket. For that blue moon beaming sends the moonbeams streaming. Then the bright star gleaming is you.
From Mr. Chifley downwards to the lowest copper's nark, every man's a crook, a con. From Momacaki upwards to the man from Ironbark, and maybe even, yes, the mighty Don.
Oh, not the mighty Don.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ruby, what are we doing out here fretting while they are in there asleep? Why don't we have the mongrels put down?
Why? That old line that sold us and told us to hold us. A man is a woman's fate.
What a fate!
To closet and pamper,
Put jam on his damper while he sits there
on his date.
Oh, Ruby! And just when the bastard has got your lord and master,
he'll cook up a lurk and try it on.
So dump him,
no, shake him up and thump him. You might miss the mongrel when he's gone.
Well, maybe
you might miss the mongrel when he's is nude upon his tie.
Wake up, it's the kid, love.
Lend us a quid, love. The calls to the bookie. We might miss the nookie. Yes, it's plain as the noses on a man's two faces the moment you start your big romance. Every mother's son around will give you the runaround once you give him half a chance. So train him, be careful not to brain him. It won't be much use without a head. And after you've decked him, better resurrect him. You might miss the mongrel when he's dead and gone. You might miss him when he's Barry Doyle or Pat Malone. Better the devil you've always known. You might miss him when he's
Rube and Harold, too, for the show. Better the devil you think you know.
You might miss him when he's gone. When he's gone.
It's not the same anymore. It's not the same since you met her, that's for sure. What's up?
Nothing.
Don't you like it?
Have you written the verse?
Summertime, we found a special place underneath the Muller Creek Bridge in the long abandoned Nundle Church. What now?
Nundle and Muller Creek.
What about them?
Well, they sort of go clunk when you hear them.
You don't mind San Antonio Rose or Blue Moon of Kentucky?
Well, everyone's heard of Kentucky.
Well, it's about time they heard of Nundle. You embarrassed singing about round here. Oh, what's got into you, Chook? That city girl put ideas in your head.
Look, if we're going to make a quid, we've got to make the song sound less clunky, less...
Australian. More American, you mean? About honky-tonks instead of pubs. Oh, bugger that.
No, not American. Struth, I just like people in Sydney,
Oh,
say.
people in Sydney. Is she pretty, Chook?
I just like people in Sydney to have a bit of a clue.
Oh,
what
bugger
we're...
people in Sydney. They're not country.
The record companies in Sydney.
Oh, bugger the record company. They're not country either. What's her name, anyway?
Leave it, Pearl. Let's finish the song.
Hasn't she got a name?
Norma. Can we finish the song?
Norma. At the record company? She looked like a rooter. She mustn't have liked you very much. She put our song on the B-side.
Get off it. Just get off it.
Well, what's wrong with you, Chook? We can't sing about bloody us if there is no bloody us. You're a traitor, Chook. You sold us down the river. Summertime, we found a special place underneath the Muller Creek Bridge. The planks they rattled under passing cars. We swam and dust hung in the air, and the sun, it still shines, and the grass, it still grows, and the willow still weeps, and the river still flows. Once or twice it snowed at Hanging Rock, winter in the hills of gold. In the long abandoned Nundle Church, we threw a prayer book on the fire, and the fire still grows cold. I still turn out the light, and the wind, it still howls round the house late at night.
strong. But if I had to tell the story, I'd sing a different song of ordinary things, of cabbages, not kings, a song for the people who move life along, for all the untold stories, for things that might have been, the unrecorded, unregarded extras in the scene. Let great men have their say. We all will have our day. We in the shadows have voices. Who in our story rejoices? We'll make history. I won't say he's been wrong. I'd sing a different song. Let great men have their say. We all will have our way. We in the shadows have voices. Who in our story rejoices? Let's find our voices and make history. One
Every day I ask the same thing. What are you doing in our land? Why can't you people see that we don't want so-called democracy? If we are merely tools of trade without a culture of our own. Though I know it's not the same thing, we must fight to be free. Death is our battle cry, and though we in battle drop like swatted flies, for each one killed there rise up many, many more, until this land is ours
Every day I ask the same thing. What am I doing in this place? And every time I ask, I know the answer's hard to face. How hard to say that I don't know. Don't know why it is I'm here at all. Though I know it's not a simple thing to be here and now. I came to fight a war, but now I'm asking what on earth it's for. And soon I won't be up to taking anymore. Oh, I can't take much more. They said my country needed me, but I don't see why some guy back home thinks me dying here somehow keep him free. Every day I ask the same thing. What am I doing in this place? I came to fight a war, but now I'm asking what on earth it's for. And soon I won't be up to taking anymore. Oh, I can't take much more of this crazy Asian war.
The songs we've been performing tonight are the tip of the iceberg. There are many more musicals from our past that deserve recognition, from Seven Little Australians to Beach Blanket Tempest to Cho-Cho San, and every year more musicals are being written. When the Australian Musical Foundation was set up in 1991 by director Jim Sharman, over 140 new musicals were submitted for development. This year, 3 of those musicals are in production, and before we finish, we'd like to premiere a song from each of them.
Try to pretend, try to forget. Bury the past for so many years. Now it returns on the lips of my children. Will I be forgiven? So many lies, so much deception. I know they will suffer if I tell them the truth. Will they despise me? Will I be forgiven? So many secrets, so much to lose. Dreams will be shattered, lives will be empty, love will be gone. I'll make excuses and they will be futile, heavy in my heart and hollow in the air. They won't believe me, I won't be forgiven. Nothing can save me, I won't be spared. A curse is upon me, blood that won't wash, a crime that won't die. The shame that I carry, the tears that I cry, asking why. anguish? Why is there sorrow? I know in my conscience there was no choice. Only one answer, only one justice. How will they know it was not just honor, more than just vengeance, stronger than anger, greater than hate? God is my witness, long as I live, I had no choice, I could not forgive. God is my judge, and I'll be forgiven. For only God can see into my soul. I may be the devil in the eyes of my children, but I'll be forgiven. Fate will pursue me and I will embrace it. I need no excuses, the guilt wasn't mine. I won't be repentant, I will be forgiven. God will have pity on a righteous crime. I finish with conscience. Time for the truth. No more deception. Destiny calls and we all have to choose. We all have to lose, even our children. I'll be forgiven.
Bring me your hungry mouth. Give me your secrets. Give me your fire. Whisper your deepest desire. Bring me your burning hands. Bring me your thirsty eyes. Give me your kisses. Give me your cries. Come to me here. Come to me now. Follow the voice in the dark. Swallow my body and soul. Drown in my river forever. The hearts are made whole. there's no way out, no escape. You're trapped. Come to me, give in to me. I've got to have you, Lena. Say yes to me. I'll give you things you could never possess without me. Without me, where would you be without you? Where would I be? Ease the pain, Lena. Ease the pain. Come to me, Lena. Love's insane. I want to feel your soft, insistent touch. Don't resist me, Lena. I need you way too much. I can't, I won't, I don't want to let you go. The blinding image of your face makes my mind crawl, makes my heart race. Passionate embrace, crush you in love's passionate embrace. Love, it floods my veins, it burns inside, but not the pathetic love that fools describe. This love's not pure, love's not divine. Is the pain I feel inside. Love's like cyanide.
Thanks for being with us on this very special occasion. We have a terrific musical theatre tradition in this country, and with the recognition of the richness of our musical past, we can look forward to an even brighter future. What better way to end than with the finale from one of the most successful Australian musicals ever, Jimmy Chai's Brand New Day.
Here I live, in this tin shack. Not much here worth coming back to drunken fights and awful sights. People drunk most every night on the way to a brand new day. Everybody say, on the way to a brand new day. Everybody say, on the way to a brand new day. Everybody say, on the way to a brand new day. Everybody say. Nothing old, nothing new. want us all to be like you. We've no future, we have no past. Hope the sun will shine at last. On the way to a brand new day. Everybody, everybody say. On the way to a brand new day. Everybody, everybody say. Brand new day. Everybody, everybody say. On the way to a brand new day. Everybody, 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 everybody say. On the way to a brand new day. Everybody, everybody say.
Once in a Blue Moon is available on CD and cassette from all ABC shops and centres. On Saturday, Clive James talks with popular comedienne Victoria Wood about royalty, fantasies and celebrity commercials. Also smooth talker Jonathan Ross and the phenomenal Fabio. All on Saturday Night Clive, Saturday at 10 o'clock. Next, Attitude.
The story of a man.
My God, how did I get here?
Of friendships.
I guess we're all bunking in together, are we?
A journey of epic proportions. From the makers of The Money or the Gun, ABC Television proudly presents Andrew Denton in Antarctica, where no one can hear you scream. The Money or the Gun on ICE, 8:30 next Wednesday.
We are here to forgive and forget what has happened in the past.
Welcome to Patonsi in South Africa, where one rural rugby club is leading the way towards a new South Africa.
We've got to work together, and we've got to play together.
Building bridges towards peace, reconciliation and democracy through good old rugby.
Black and white must come together.
Over 4 compelling weeks, a very special series on South Africa. Beloved Country, 9:30 Thursday. Frontline coming soon.
on Attitude, the world of the mentally ill.
I wanted to just block it out and it wouldn't stop. And I'd get into the bath and I'd put my head underwater, but these voices would still be there.
One solution has been to lock people up.
It was pretty frightening because it was my 20th birthday coming up and I had no idea that I would be in such a place for my birthday. And I felt as if I had no choice or control.
And it's not just those with the mental illness who face isolation and confusion.
If had I been equipped to recognise these symptoms earlier, much earlier, Paul would probably be a lot better off today than what he is.
Welcome to Attitude. A few days ago in Melbourne, a grandmother went public to plead for help for her mentally ill grandson.
Well, shortly after his father's death, he was a little uptight about it, didn't seem to be able to cope with that. And it was only a matter of a period of about 2 years, when he was about 10, my own son committed suicide. Now, he was his role model after his father had passed on, and he just could not come to grips with it. He got to hallucinating. He was seeing people at the door that weren't there. He got in the bath with his clothes fully dressed. And he was doing all sorts of incredibly stupid things. Anyway, I'd rung the hospital to see what I could do, and their answer was, keep him calm and quiet over the weekend. We'll see what we can do on Monday. Which was great for them, you know, I was the one who was trying to cope with it.
Her grandson disappeared from the house. He was eventually found next morning crawling beside the Calder Highway. He was shuttled between the psych centre and the hospital before it was discovered he'd seriously injured his leg.
He'd been told, we have to operate and it's possible you will lose your leg. We have no guarantee that we won't have to amputate. Well, they've saved the leg, but he has this scar from his knee to his ankle, and he's got a permanent limp and he has to wear special shoes. And it was later I think it was Wednesday evening, we received this call to say that there was a problem, that my grandson had been sexually attacked in the watch house. As far as the alleged assault goes, I suppose in their own mind they were doing the right thing. They probably thought by putting him with somebody that would help him. So perhaps in that way they were not to blame. But by the same token, I think if they are dealing with a mentally sick patient and somebody that they knew was mentally sick, that had a history of mental illness, that there should have been he should have been taken to Mont Park or somewhere like that where he could have been looked after adequately. To keep him in the watch house just wasn't right. If the police are going to have to deal with mentally sick patients, then they should be a specially trained group, the same as they have all their SWAT teams and other groups. They should have a specialised group because, I mean, we know that there are about 20% of the population have got this problem. So it's not something that's going to go away. It's something that's there in the population, and we've, as you know, the general public have got to face up to it.
What this case illustrates in an extreme way is just how badly we're failing to care for our young mentally ill. An estimated 1.5% of the population, at least 250,000 Australians, suffer from major mental illnesses. 90% of the time, the illness starts around adolescence, and the earlier it's diagnosed, the greater the chance of recovery. So it would make sense to have specialist youth services. Yet out of the $1.3 billion currently spent by Australia on mental health, its young people get just 6%. Tonight, as Canberra makes its final adjustments to the coming federal budget, we look at a situation that's ruining the lives of thousands of young people.
At one stage, I felt something was entering my body, like an entity or something like that, or just a spirit. And then I just felt something was bigger than me inside, you know, something was in there, dark and sticky, and I just couldn't get rid of it.
I was actually admitted into hospital when I was 19 years old, suffering a major psychosis, an acute psychosis. And I was paranoid quite bad, to the point where I stopped eating and drinking because I thought that my mother was trying to poison me. Looking back on it now, it's quite, I can grin about it, but at the time it was very frightening and my whole world had turned against me.
The particular problem for young mentally ill people is a lack of services, or specific services targeted at young people. That makes getting an accurate diagnosis really difficult. It also makes finding somewhere to live really difficult. Often the best place to live isn't with your parents, and it isn't in a psychiatric hospital. So where do young people go if there aren't the facilities available?
I think we're paying a very high price for our neglect of young people who are seriously disturbed or have serious mental health problems. I think the price we're paying, without exaggeration, in many cases, is the lives of those young people.
Human Rights Commissioner Brian Burdekin spent 3 years heading a national inquiry into the state of Australia's mental health system. His report, regarded as the most comprehensive study of services this century, found enormous inadequacies and numerous breaches of human rights.
The tragedy is, according to all the evidence in the inquiry, that even though we know that really a great deal of mental illness, 90% of it, starts around the age of 16 to 18, there are virtually no services or facilities for young people affected by mental illness. Things are bad across Australia for young people affected by mental illness. It is outrageous that they constitute a third of our population but receive only 6% of the mental health budget. That's not equitable. In fact, that's grossly inequitable, and it's a violation of the human rights of many of our young people to appropriate care and assistance when they are sick. That's why we're seeing them carted away in paddy wagons and in some cases locked up in remand and detention facilities.
And it's time for everyone's favourite game show, What's My Psychosis? Now here's the star of the show, Tony Butcher.
Thank you. Thanks very much. No, thank you. Thanks, everybody. Welcome to What's My Psychosis, the Australian mental health game show. And now, we're not going to explain the rules because we never do. OK, let's meet the contestants. First up, we've got Trevor from East Doncaster. Now, Trevor considers himself normal, whatever that means. And next to Trevor, there's Gemma. Now, Gemma is very, very depressed.
Oh, great.
And on the end, we've got Brian from Highgate Hill. Now, Brian's in between 7 diagnoses at the moment, so we'll just put him down to paranoid schizophrenic, shall we? OK, how about we test those buzzers?
Oh, God.
It's the story of a lovely lady.
Yeah, I think the mental health system is an illness in itself, you know. It's just people get scatter around it, you know. Because this sort of, the mental health system brings you in and wants to do things for you. So they sort of take things into their own hands, you know, instead of yourself. So you're spaced out everywhere, you know.
For many years, Paul Heron was thought to be temperamental and disruptive. But that was before he was eventually diagnosed as schizophrenic. At 16, he was admitted to Royal Park, an acute care psychiatric hospital. And 5 years later, the memories of that night are still very strong.
I was crying, and I was only 14 or 15 at the time, and I was crying, and just wanted to get out of there, you know. I needed to be with my family at that time.
It was a night of torment, really, and, you know, I was sort of shattered to think that here I was committing my son to a mental hospital. If had I been equipped to recognise these symptoms earlier, much earlier, Paul would probably be a lot better off today than what he is. It would have been tackled in its infancy, hopefully arrested much earlier.
Apart from the problems of early detection and diagnosis, accommodation for young mentally ill people is a big issue.
Well, I lived in Royal Park for about 4 years. And the problem I had there was I had friends commit suicide on me, and, you know, every night someone would be freaking out, I'd be freaking out or something like that, you know. It just got too much, you know, just the life of illness, it's no good. I had nowhere to live. I had a place to stay there, so I just stayed there, you know, I had nowhere else to live. I was getting worse and worse every day. Till I was coming to an institutionalised state, you know.
Welcome back to What's My Psychosis. Before we get on with the game, let's find out what's on the treatment board tonight. Nurse Ratchet.
Thanks, Tony. Tonight we've got electroshock therapy.
50 years and still going strong.
Lithium.
The popular mood stabiliser.
And hard drugs.
When I went into the lock ward, that was my second admission, I think, and it was pretty frightening because it was my 20th birthday coming up, and I had no idea that I would be in such a place for my birthday. And I felt as if I had no choice or control, which I didn't, because I was scheduled at the time.
Like many young people, Kylie got trapped in the mental health system, caught in a 4-year cycle of getting out of hospital, returning to a lifestyle of drugs and alcohol, then finding herself readmitted.
Well, when I was doing that, I think it was because I felt like I'd been cheated and someone had taken away that young, carefree sort of living, and in a way I wanted to just put it all behind me, put all the mental illness behind me and carry on and just pick up and start working again and living like a young person again. And to do that, it wasn't good for my mental health, and my mental health suffered. I think to just know that there are other young people that are experiencing psychosis or depression or mania, and I think that would have been just reassuring to me, and I wouldn't have felt so bad about it all.
OK, I'm throwing this question open to everyone, so stand by your buzzers. Now listen carefully. What facilities are specifically available for young people with mental disorders in rural areas? Well, I'm not surprised you didn't get that one, because it was in fact a trick question. There are no facilities for young people in rural areas.
While psychiatric support is inadequate in the city, regional Australia is even worse off, where specialised services for young people are almost non-existent.
Well, the evidence would suggest that the situation in rural and isolated areas in Australia, and about 5 million Australians live outside our major cities. Their situation is, I think, absolutely alarming. In the space of one generation, the suicide rate of our young people has doubled in our major cities, but it's gone up 500 or 600% in rural and regional Australia. And it's a very disturbing problem because it's in those areas that we don't have any services or facilities.
Okay, welcome back to the program. This section of the program is our ethical challenge section. Now, as you can see, Trevor is dressed as a psychiatrist, and doesn't he look lovely? Now, what he's got here in front of him are 4 people with acute problems. Now, Trevor, you've only got 20 seconds to diagnose each of them. Are you ready?
Sure am, Tony.
Okay, on your marks, get set, go! Off he goes.
Ever get depressed? Ever feel overexcited? Okay, ever hear songs in your head? Ever hate your parents? This make you nervous?
No.
Yeah, you must be paranoid.
Okay, time ticking out there,
ever
come
take
on.
drugs? Ever listen to rock music? Oh, sick.
Okay, let's see what he's got. Yes, he's just made it. Congratulations, you win the points.
There are something of the order of 100 psychiatrists in Western Australia, but the vast majority, which would be somewhere around 90, reside and work in the metropolitan area. For example, in Western Australia, something of the order of 27% of the state's population live in rural areas, and yet, as I understand it, only 4% of the psychiatric services budget is expended in rural areas.
Twice a month, Dr David Lord flies 1,200 kilometres from Perth to Port Hedland in northwestern Australia to provide the city of 14,000 people with their only psychiatric service.
The problem is really that it's impossible to conduct good clinical management from a distance, and being in a situation for only 2 days in a month makes it impossible to effectively and fairly undertake treatment programs.
Hot. Port Hedland's very hot, and it's hard to make friends, or I find it hard to make friends, and the isolation, being so far away from friends and family, is a really big factor.
These factors make living in Port Hedland pretty stressful. That stress, combined with a high incidence of drug abuse, compound the problems of mental illness. That places extra pressure on already stretched mental health professionals and gives the provision of specialist youth services a much higher priority.
Well, there's always the alcohol and drug scene, for starters. I mean, you've got nothing to do but drink, so you could very easily become an alcoholic. And there's the drugs, if you were into that sort of scene. It is frustrating because there are times when you really need to see him. For example, I had to ring him in Perth once and he was away on a conference, and so I just had no access to him whatsoever.
Psychiatric nurse Mark Rogers manages patients in between Dr Lord's visits. He cares for 40 regular patients and up to 200 occasional patients.
I was flown to Greylands, and it was very scary because you didn't know what to expect, and you didn't know what was happening to you. And it was just a very horrific experience that I hope never to have to go through again.
Well, I think Australians have to understand that if somebody is affected by an acute episode of mental illness, they can't wait 6 weeks for the visiting psychiatrist to arrive. And that's the great difficulty in many of our country areas, that there are no services on the ground, and to the extent that there is specialist assistance, it only comes in once every 6 weeks or once every couple of months.
When they're only seeing someone once a fortnight or once a month, it's impossible for them to develop a really good relationship.
It's pretty frightening. You think yourself much lower than a person. You're just like, oh, wow, you know, like I'm a nut. Oh, I deserve to stay in hospital.
The common perception is that people with mental illness are dangerous, and the reality is I don't think that's the case at all.
I see the formal mental health system very similar to the way the criminal justice system operates. People are punished.
Too often I feel like I'm being treated as a criminal rather than a person with a legitimate psychiatric illness.
And we have people self-mutilating, suiciding, in an awful lot of pain who can't access services at all because they don't fit a medical illness model.
The most important thing is to have someone that loves you.
Oh, and that noise means your time is up. I hope you got your answers all written down on the cards. Now, the question was, just to refresh your memories, I had a psychotic episode and was taken to a blank. I was taken to a blank. OK, Trevor, let's start with you. Your answer, please.
Early psychosis prevention ward?
No, I'm sorry, no. OK, Gemma?
I had a public hospital.
Very droll, but not quite the right answer. OK, Brian, it's up to you.
Prison?
And prison is the correct answer. 5 points.
One of the most frustrating things about the care of Tamara is that nobody wants to take responsibility. So she's intellectually disabled, but she's not intellectually disabled enough to be cared for by the intellectual disability area. She may have some mental illness, but has never been diagnosed. So the mental health people don't want to take responsibility.
Go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as bad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
One of the problems with moving ill people back into the community without there being adequate support is that a number of them become involved in the criminal justice system. And it's a place where they don't belong, and the effects of them getting involved in that system can be disastrous, not only for them, but also for their families.
For much of the time, Tamara is the same gentle, loving person who we've always known her to be. But from time to time, frequently without obvious reason, she escalates. And this might be over a period of days, or it might be an instantaneous escalation. And when she finally reaches crisis point in this escalation, she becomes a person who we simply wouldn't recognise as the same person at all.
Tamara Batterham is a young woman who spends much of her time being shuffled around the health and criminal justice systems of the ACT. Her problem is that none of the experts will agree on what needs to be done to help her.
The biggest difficulty is finding a niche within the mental health system which will care for Tamara and will provide the supports that she so desperately needs. We can't count the number of beds that she's been in. Some have been in refuges, some in hospital. Both the psychiatric hospitals, the psychiatric units within the hospitals in the ACT have been used.
Chris Staniforth is the head of legal aid in the ACT. He's been acting on behalf of Tamara for over 3 years.
The sadness about Tamara's situation is that she ended up in a remand centre on charges which most of us, if we were charged with the same kind of thing, would be out on bail. She finished up spending ages, and by ages I'm talking about months, in our criminal remand centre, which is called the Belconnen Remand Centre, simply because she had nowhere else to live.
leaving people in jail who are sick must be the most painful thing for a family. They realise that they're coping with a mental illness as well, and then on top of that they have to handle the problems of jail. Having said that though, it's also important to realise that some families are very relieved that their son or daughter is picked up by the police and put away safely, and they hope that this can be a start of a change, that treatment might be arranged that is really needed.
Well, the mental health system, as far as I can see, is very rejecting of young people who have any tendency at all towards violence. And this is a reflection of the staffing and the training and the availability of specialist units to cope with people like Tamara. She's not a person who wants to harm anybody else. She's a person who becomes so preoccupied with whatever is going on in her mind that she behaves in a way that's so utterly and completely desperate that it gets her into strife.
Well, of course, if people commit offences and they're charged before a court, they should be dealt with in the criminal justice system. But that assumes they've got full control over their actions and they're legally responsible for their actions. We have an enlightened approach to mental illness now. What we don't do now is what we did 4 or 5 decades ago, and anyone that manifests an extreme psychological problem or schizophrenia or something like that is locked away in an institution. We don't do that anymore. And as a result of that, of course, those people are not institutionalised. They're in our community, but the problem is if we don't give them the appropriate supports and assistance to survive in that community, they're inevitably going to come into contact with the criminal justice system.
The politics of Tamara's care are very complicated. We think that certainly at the level of ACT government, the Chief Minister and members of the government, I think, are certainly very sympathetic and very concerned about Tamara's situation. And yet there seems not to be a willingness on the part of some ministers to confront the need for Tamara's care.
Tamara's situation has been one of the catalysts for the drafting of new legislation in the ACT. That is designed to set up individual case management for those with mental illnesses. And while this may eventually help people like Tamara, others still face problems. Matthew Perry is 15 and, as in Tamara's case, finds himself floating between various services because health authorities won't pigeonhole him. Do you think that you have a mental illness?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It's OCD.
And how does OCD represent itself in you?
Just turns my mind against me, I guess.
How does it do that?
Well, I've got a more active imagination than everyone else, so if I see a movie or something, or even something small in the news about sick people, it just affects me real bad and everything. So I practically can't watch any TV. I do watch a lot. I do watch shows I enjoy, but I can't usually watch news and stuff.
How does it make you feel?
Not very good.
Matthew lives with his parents, brother Tristan and sister Alexis. He's been ill for 5 years and is diagnosed as having 4 serious mental illnesses.
One of our real problems is that Matthew doesn't fit into any categories. He's got a variety of problems. His intelligence for help with one of the groups in Canberra is too high. He doesn't fit neatly into one hospital system or the other. He doesn't fit. We can't get help from one service or the other because of lots of different reasons, and everybody's saying, no, you go there, somebody else should take responsibility. So really we've got a child who desperately needs help, a family who needs help, and everybody is denying responsibility.
Matthew's future at this stage, we feel, is
bleak, that Matthew has a very limited idea of what is in store for him when he goes out. Being developmentally delayed creates a lot of problems in his ability to understand the various scenarios that are going to occur to him when he goes out and leaves school. We are very concerned about the possibility of Matthew going along the line that Tamara has gone.
How does it feel when you're normal?
Feels good.
What about it feels good?
It's better than being wrestled by your mind.
What do you mean by wrestled by your mind?
Well, as I said, turns against you. Just, it's the only way I can explain it.
I think too often adolescents are put down to just going through a stage, going through adolescent problems, when actually they're starting to manifest a psychotic illness and it's not recognised early enough.
The community attitudes towards mental health still mean that there's lots of stigma attached to being involved in any mental health services.
I'd ask them to first listen to young people for a start and ask them, young people, what services they do need.
They helped me move into home and they helped me learn how to wash my clothes and how to do the dishes and how to clean the toilet, and they helped looked after me.
If you diverted people towards more community-related organisations where there's not so much stigma and labelling, then I think you've got a much higher chance of rehabilitation.
The worst thing happens that you become separated from society.
This is a surgery. This is where when we first come in, they do the check-up. This is the table tennis room. This is the TV room. Angela?
There's no way back. Move right out of here, baby. Go pack your bags.
There are so few specialist psychiatric services for young people, yet the onset of mental illness is in that 16 to 25 age group. Now, if we intervene early, we can help speed up the recovery process, but we're waiting for things to become chronic before we're doing anything about them. This is the hospital section of the Early Psychosis Centre in Melbourne. It's known as the Aubrey Lewis Ward. The centre describes itself as unique in that it's the only one of its kind in the world which focuses on young people aged 16 to 30 who are experiencing their initial psychotic episodes. There are 21 beds in the hospital and they're usually full.
It's really important to segregate the group of young people who are coming in with their first or second episode of psychosis from the rest of the older, more chronic population. We don't want them to be admitted to hospital and see all these people 40, 50 years old who are the sickest group of all of the people. That's why they're in hospital, because they're the sickest group of psychotic people. We don't want these young people to look at them and think, this is my future.
Can you tell me what it's like going through psychosis?
It's very frightening, because one thing that people always take for granted is the power of their own thoughts, and you don't realise how frightening it is until you can't control your own thoughts and you don't know what's happening to you. And you're hallucinating and you're hearing voices in your head and you have no control over any of it. It's like totally losing control of your life. It's like jumping over a cliff without a parachute. It's just the most frightening experience that you could ever have, I have ever had.
Running for about 2 years, the Early Psychosis Centre has a number of services which treat and monitor its young people. One is a day program where the graduates of the Aubrey Lewis Ward get together and go bowling or to the movies or down to the local pool hall. Angela McGough and Nicole Smith are two of those graduates.
And I wanted to just block it out and it wouldn't stop. And I'd get into the bath and I'd put my head underwater, but these voices would still be there, and pillows over my head, cotton wool in the ears, and running away, trying to get out of the room or go somewhere else. And it was just, It wasn't good at all. In the early stages, if I had the understanding that, hey, Angela, if you ever hear any voices, you know, tell someone. If I had have known that, I probably would have had the brains and had the confidence to actually go along to someone and say, guess what, I'm hearing voices, something's not right. I've never seen a media campaign directed at mental health.
Angela's 7-year-old son Aaron was placed in foster care when she went into hospital. He's now back with her, and she's taking the year off to recover and be with him. The voices are gone, but songs have taken their place.
At the moment I can hear, it's all about soul, na 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 na. It's Billy Joel. That's a good song. That's all right. I do fear a relapse, and I'll be honest, I think that I actually fear a relapse every day, I think. Not every moment, but I'm gradually getting better, but every day I hope that I'm getting better.
Nicole Smith has been mentally ill for 3 years. She was originally labelled a schizophrenic, but later diagnosed as a manic depressive. Unlike Angela, she doesn't have to cope with voices and songs, but mood swings.
Can you get the cat? Yeah. The worst it gets last night.
Oh, just, you know...
Throwing things. We don't like to hurt each other, so we take it out on objects. And that's probably going to end up costing me a lot of money and Rod a lot of money if I keep doing that. It took them time to realise that I was quite unwell. And the more time it takes, the worse you become. Like, 1 week the person might be just starting to become unwell, and the next week they might be unwell.
Even though Nicole and Angela have been sick, they're actually the lucky ones. They're among the few who can access the Early Psychosis Centre. Anyone living outside the inner city and western suburbs of Melbourne can't. The Victorian government funds the centre at a cost of around $2 million a year. $2 million out of a state mental health budget of more than $270 million. This school program is not running in all the states yet, and even when it is, country schools will miss out.
They have got a weight problem and therefore go on diets.
Is there any questions by any chance about the neurotic illnesses?
What's the difference between bulimia and anorexia?
Now, bulimia is different to anorexia.
Is it ever possible to totally cure these illnesses?
I'm going to talk about schizophrenia now, and before I get started, I'd just like to share with you that I've actually got schizophrenia, and I've had it for 2 years. You have to look at what starts off the illness, but there's always that predisposition there, which could possibly turn into another episode.
How much did you know about mental illness when you were in high school?
Nothing. I couldn't even spell schizophrenia.
It's really weird to think that, like, someone in my form at school might get schizophrenia. It's just strange.
They're warned about sex, about the dangers involved in sex, like venereal diseases and AIDS and stuff like that, and the dangers of taking drugs and the dangers of drinking alcohol, the dangers of smoking cigarettes. but nothing's mentioned about, you know, the 1 in 4 people will get a mental illness, and it strikes people in their adolescence in the majority of cases. So it's a taboo subject, which is ridiculous because there's such a need for education about it, and there's such a need for more resources that aren't available at the moment. Okay, Paul, what was that CD I lent you last week?
They just can't win. They just can't win away
A few minutes ago, not only 3 minutes
Was
ago.
it Cold
Don't
Chisel?
tell you to turn the music
shocking.
down.
I hate it.
Paul, why are you wearing that suit?
Do something normal.
Jimmy
Cannot
Barnes.
go out.
Yeah, where is it?
That suit, Paul, that's a disgusting suit. Didn't I tell you?
Paul, where is it? I need
It is,
it.
Paul. Believe me, just this time I had better taste. Paul.
It's, please forgive me. I know not what I do. Please forgive me. I can't stop. Bryan Adams. Yeah, it's still going. No, it's just playing. Don't deny me. Yeah, it just plays along. But I just tune out from the song. It's not very loud at the moment.
When you become unwell and then you become well, you change. You're not like the way you used to be, are you? You're totally different. So no one that has ever had a mental illness is ever going to be 100% ever again.
Everything's an achievement when you're getting better, you know. Cooking a meal, able to watch television, to concentrate, sitting down and having a conversation with someone and being able to follow that conversation. Being a mum and doing, you know, thinking, oh, I'm doing this right, I'm able to care for my child, that is the biggest reward, you know.
This is Tony, friend of mine. This is Mohammed here. He's a cool bloke, mate. Yeah, and we've been in hospital for a while now. Yep. And yeah, as they say, this ain't so bad. It's not that bad, yeah. Yeah, we're getting out of here soon, mate. Could be better, mate. Good on your skulls. Take care, everyone. That's it.
What's it really like to be a journalist? What are the duties of a security guard? And what do prospective employers expect to be presented with at an interview? Find out this Friday in our entertaining Job Seekers Survival Guide, all in a day's work. That's Friday night at 6 o'clock. Coming up, ABC News and Lateline.
Next week on Attitude, we go backstage in the glamorous world of modelling. But in the meantime, tell us your ideas for Attitude. Write to us at PO Box 9994 in your capital city.
The Black Adder, accused of witchcraft.
Oh, get the kindling ready.
The servant of Satan.
He doesn't look the slightest bit like me.
Or a big mistake.
Accused are found guilty of witchcraft.
It's fire and brimstone.
I'm not even comfortable.
For the Black Adder, 8 o'clock Friday.
Good evening, I'm Kerry O'Brien. On Lateline tonight, we spell out the challenge the government faces to reduce massive long-term unemployment when it brings down its employment policy paper next week. New research confirms Australia is becoming a divided society, with a growing underclass locked in regions where jobs have disappeared for good. A look at possible solutions straight after the news.
Clive Hale from the ABC National Newsroom. Good evening, thank you for joining us. Heading late edition tonight, the end to almost 350 years of white minority rule in South Africa. African National Congress leader Nelson Mandela got to fulfil his lifelong ambition today, casting a vote in democratic elections. He's being joined tonight by the millions of South Africans who shared his dream.
I feel just like when I was born by my mother. Now I can retire to heaven.
The country woke up today to a new national flag and a new national anthem. And the man who may be the last white president, F.W. de Klerk, got to cast his vote in an election which will put him out of a job. But today hasn't passed without violence. Johannesburg's main airport was rocked by a car bomb outside its international arrivals terminal. 16 people were injured. Police are tonight interviewing a suspect. But it's not just white extremists who are unhappy with the poll. In what may be a prelude to protests after the election, Inkatha leader Mangosuthu Buthelezi has raised concerns about alleged vote rigging.
The fact that there seems to be a very widespread rigging going on, in the sense that, you know, in the Lancet House, regional office of the ANC, equipment to do some of these bogus documents was found. And also here in Durban, there is a building where these bogus registration cards are being issued to kids who are below voting age. So those things are very worrying indeed, because after all, we want a fair election and we want an election that is free.
The Japanese Transport Ministry has begun an on-the-spot investigation of last night's Airbus crash at Nagoya Airport, which claimed 261 lives. A special committee has been set up to look into the crash of the China Airlines A300 Airbus as it approached Nagoya Airport from Taipei. Witnesses say the plane suddenly pulled up steeply, they saw engines catch fire, then it exploded in flames near the main runway. There were only 9 survivors. A series of savage bushfires burnt through parts of Tasmania overnight. Firefighters there were kept busy as